Hello, everybody, and welcome to the June 12th, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. We're using the webcam again today because this camera did not want to work, and it's annoying me. So, of course, the first thing we're going to talk about is the Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un summit, where President Donald J. Trump met with leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Personally, if this achieves peace, I support it. I support not going to war with North Korea. I've made that clear. I support peace whenever possible. And it seems like here, peace with North Korea will be possible. And the results of the summit are really showing that. It's really starting to show that no matter what's going on, Donald Trump is actually creating peace. Now, mind you, he still tore up the Iran deal and still has Bolton in his cabinet and is still bombing 7 different countries. So he has roughly sided with peace. Let's see, there's been some talks in his administration about giving Venezuela. So that's about 10 countries. One of them he's been peaceful with, so he has about a 10% peace rating. That's still atrocious. It's better than someone like George W. Bush or John McCain or John Bolton, who have 0% peace ratings. And basically, any time their administrations could, or I guess in the case of McCain and Bolton, they never had an administration, but you know what I mean. You know, they tried to do war. Bolton is still the national security advisor, after all, and that seems to be what he wants to do. There's even been talk about Bolton trying to sabotage it so he can go to war with North Korea because he's John Bolton, and John Bolton is literally the worst. However, all is not well if you're in the military-industrial complex. You see, and this is sad, I'm going to warn you, this may be the saddest story of 2018. It certainly made me cry a little. As USA Today reports, this is a headline, again, from USA Today, one of the most popular news sources. Trump-Kim handshake, talk of peace, sings U.S. defense stocks. I'm sorry, I can barely even read it myself. Remember, the military does not have any control over the media when that's what they're covering when talking about peace, how it affects the poor defense stocks. We're going to be reading again. Let's read some more. Shares of Raytheon, which makes Patriot and Tomahawk missiles, closed 2.8% lower. Lockheed Martin, which supplies the Pentagon with air and missile defense systems, as well as the F-35 stealth fighter jet. Isn't that the one that doesn't even work? Tumbled 1.3%. And Northrop Grumman, which has increased its force on cyber warfare and missile defense more recently, declined 1.5%. Boeing, which makes Avalanche helicopters and aerial refueling aircrafts, dipped 0.1%. General Dynamics, a Navy shipbuilder, fell 1.6%. So not even a full 3% in most of these cases. These are very small dips, and USA Today is very worried about that. Because they're USA Today and they're owned by the military-industrial complex. They are not USA Today, mind you. They are Establishment Today. They don't care about what you want. They usually just repeat some bland news for about a minute, typically about a puppy or something, and then on their website they have articles about things like this. And it is completely sad to watch. However, don't worry, as the Democratic Party, specifically a bunch of the, I call them light red Democrats, you may also call them blue dogs or centrists, Anyway, these said bright red senators are, of course it's Schumer, I don't know if I pronounce it, Menendez, Durbin, of course Durbin's also involved, Warner, Feinstein, because of course Frankenstein would be involved, because she's Dianne Feinstein, she's one of the worst, Lethy and Brown, who I was actually kind of surprised by, because I actually do like Sherrod Brown a good amount of the time, but you know. Here are the demands of the New Deal. The deal must include the dismantlement and removal of all nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons from North Korea. Okay, that's perfectly fair. All 3 of those are banned under the Geneva Convention. That makes sense. The U.S. must ensure a complete and verifiable denuclearization of North Korea, removing all items related to nuclear weapon production to prevent the country from reversing course. Wait, remove all weapons? That's harsher than the Iran deal. At least the Iran deal said that you could only enrich it to a certain point. Now they want to remove all things like uranium from there? What about power grids, or what about research? There are other reasons people can have things like uranium. North Korea must end its ballistic missile program as well. That's just normal. Those are just normal weapons. What's wrong with that? Every other country can have normal weapons but North Korea? That seems kind of hypocritical. You essentially wanted to remove all its military. And for that matter, may I remind you, not only are the people in North Korea who serve in the military the only people who have it well there, but you're essentially asking them to give up their sovereignty as a nation. Just think about that. North Korea must comply with anywhere, anytime inspections. To ensure it is not cheating on the deal, the sanctions must be immediately restored if it does cheat. Okay, fair. The deal must be permanent. Again, even the Iran deal expired at some point. This essentially wants North Korea to give up its sovereignty as a nation and make it a sitting duck for either South Korea to topple them or the United States. That's what this clearly looks like, and I don't blame them if they don't do this deal that the Democrats are pushing for. Because, again, Bolton is in the cabinet. Mattis wants to do this. You know, so many top people in the administration want this done. And Schumer, the current Democratic leader, voted against the Iran deal. Think about that. Anyway, I figured I'd end the show with an editorial from a man named David French. He works over in the National Review because, of course, he does. Now, National Review, I used one of their articles earlier in the episode. Their editorial page is just atrocious. It's mainly just the typical far-right conservative piece. It was done, I forget who created it, but I think the guy who originally created it, specifically said that AIDS was the result of homosexuals. Ignore the fact that straight people got AIDS. No, it was specifically for the homosexuals. He wrote an article, David French did, called "It's Not Bigotry to Believe Homosexuality is a Sin." Now let's go to the definition of bigotry. The intolerance towards those who hold different opinions from oneself. This could also be resulting in actions. That's the first definition you get in Google. So you could say maybe. However, then you look at, well, other definitions. Merriam-Webster, for instance, defines bigotry as abstainment or intolerant devotion to one's own opinion and prejudices. The state of mind of being a bigot. Bigotry is also a synonym with prejudice. So, yes, it is kind of bigotry. Now, you can still believe that. But you are a bigot for believing that. I'm sorry, that's just an objective fact. He then told the story about this guy who worked for a gym that got vandalized because the guy who ran it was homophobic. Here's what French had to say. But isn't that a bigoted view? Yeah, it's not a one-way street, David. Multiple things can be bad at once. And I don't mean in the sense of, oh, the whole world is bad and wacky. I mean, no, one person can hold the wrong view and express it peacefully, and another person can hold the right view and express it violently. And in that case, it's wrong to express something violently, and it's also wrong to be wrong. I essentially have destroyed this article. I'm not bothering anymore. David French is an idiot. I'm Ephrom, and good night.